we're going to talk a little bit about some of the functions that Excel has to allow you to understand a set of data. So here I have a set of data prepared already. We have 19 samples and their respective values. And so with these functions, what they basically do is they help you describe the data. So we can ask certain questions such as, what is the total sum of all the values in this data set? If we use the sum function and highlight our data set, we can get that answer. We can also ask other things such as, what is the average or the mean of the data set? And we can see that there's our mean. We can also ask, how spread out is the data set? And we can figure out what the standard deviation is using the function stdev. Again, highlighting our data set and finding our standard deviation. We can also find what our variance is using the var function. And you'll note that variance here is just the square of the standard deviation. Now, one important function is count. What count does is it tells you how many cells you've highlighted and can be used as a way to gauge what your sample size is. So here you see that I highlighted all my sample values and I got a count of 19, which is expected because we have 19 sample data. Now this function becomes more useful when you have larger data sets, and for example, if I analyze a subset of my data and I didn't want to go in and count it, I can use this function to see that I selected 12 samples. And that'd be my new sample. We can also ask other questions such as, what is the middle or the median of the data set? So we can use the median function, again highlighting our data set, to see that our median is 486. We can also figure out percentiles using the percentile function, highlighting our data set and telling Excel what percentile we want. So we want to make sure that our percentile is given in a decimal format. So let's say we want to know what the 30th percentile is. So I'll use 0.3. And we see that that is our 30th percentile. We can also use the quartile function, which is similar to the percentile function, except it gives you more specifically the minimum value, the first quartile or the 25th percentile, the median value or the 50th percentile, or the third quartile, also the 75th percentile, or the maximum value. Let's say we want to know what the 70th percentile is, or 75th percentile. So we enter the number 3 as our selection, and we see that right there, that is our 75th percentile. We can also use functions such as max to figure out what the maximum number in our data set is, or min to figure out what the minimum number in our data set is. Now, one function you might not use too often is mode. Mode tells you what is the most frequently occurring value in the data set. In our case, if we highlight our data set, we see that 16, which is the only number that appears twice in our data set, is the most frequent in our data set.